update on Drew?
I don't have an update. I know that they went through some further testing next door here this morning. I haven't talked to Kinger. I don't know the results. I don't know if they're back yet, honestly, but we should know more this afternoon at some point. But he did get evaluated this morning.
Are you back to square one with the pairs, or is it just going to plug in a replacement for Drew and let the other two pairs stay put for now?
We haven't talked about it that much yet, Dennis. We'll deal with that. But that, if Drew's not going to be playing, we'll have to figure that question out. It's the right question for sure, but we just haven't let ourselves go down that path yet.
How do you keep the team upbeat? This is a major loss for the team.
Well, I think we've got a lot of good energy going, and I would say this: had the camp not started as well as I think it has gone, and I think it's one thing for the coaches and the management, but I think the players feel it. I think they feel we have a good team, we have a big, strong team, we've got some good youth coming up. If Drew's out for some length of time, I think that's going to be easier to absorb just because of how excited the players are right now. You don't replace them, you know that. And I think guys feel like we've got a good team, and if this is something we have to deal with, we'll deal with it.
How difficult is that to see 2 or 3 shifts into the first period of a preseason game and then have to get the team kind of reset still so early in the game?
Well, I don't know what the words are. I mean, you hate to see that happen to anybody, any player, your team or any other team. You hate to see a guy leave the surface like that. But I can tell you, on our bench, and I caught some of our veteran players, I could see, because I saw them gesture physically, how emotional that was to see Drew leave like that. And so I just made a mental note of that personally. You can see how much the guys care, because it was just not fake emotion. I noticed things, and guys were disappointed. So they're pros. They go on, the show goes on. It always goes on. So they gather themselves and finish the game.
Injuries obviously can happen at any time. Is it a little harder to see it when it's preseason? I don't know if Drew decides which games he likes to play.
Well, you have to play. You have to play. You can't, keep everybody out. You want to go into the regular season 100% healthy, and to do that, you can say, okay, nobody gets to play, and now you're way behind the 8 ball. So it's just since the beginning of time, this is the way it's had to go. You have to get a couple games, get your body up and running. You just hate to see it. You said
the additional testing obviously was what, or is it like that we did do an MRI or CT scan?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into all of what it was, but it's been thorough. It has to be.
Are you tempted to take the reins off of Brad Clark? Say, okay, now you're going to play 20 minutes a night. He's got all the potential. Everybody thinks great things about him. Is there a temptation to do that?
I don't think this affects Brant that much, to be honest with you. I think Brant affects Brant, and he's a good player. We all know it, and I think probably everybody thought he would end up playing more for us last year than he did. He got his opportunity and played some. This year he's been a different player. He's been a more mature player, and so he's doing everything that he can control to play more. I'll never say take the reins off. This guy without the reins, he'd be everywhere. So we will not talk about the reins off. We'll talk about his increasing his role for Grant. But he's really taken this, again, he's just, I would call it maturity over the past year. And he's done everything we've asked. So he's carving out an important role for himself, whether Drew's here or not.
Does this injury now say in your mind, maybe I shouldn't play certain guys the rest of the preseason?
No. We got to get them ready to play. We got to get them ready to play. Having them behind the 8 ball doesn't help us either. So it's a tough game. Things happen in hockey. This was really, really unfortunate.
The last time the team didn't have Drew for an extended time, Sean Durzi kind of sees that, really established himself as a bona fide NHL defenseman. Everyone's different, but is that something that Jordan Spence could really? He established himself last year, but that now with this expanded role and all that may come with it, however long Drew's out, did Jordan really take that kind of leap, I guess you could say?
There will be opportunity for somebody, whether it's Grant, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Kyle Burrows, who knows? Whether one of our left defensemen, we have lots of depth, switches to the right side. That is the one thing, and I don't know when it was, a day or two we talked about this before, and we talked about the greatest depth in our organization right now is on defense. So we do have some options. We have, a lot of guys that played, games. You take it right through Jonesy, Mubare, England, Burrows. These guys have all played lots of NHL games, so they're gonna get an opportunity here.
One name you didn't mention was Joe Hicketts. He joined Group A
Okay.
today. Should we read anything into his inclusion?
No, he's another guy in that room. He's got lots of experience. So the depth of the organization is on defense, and we're just gonna have to sort out, who's gonna get that.
I mean, Michael Anderson has grown a lot in his time here. He's gone from being Drew's partner to being the player that he is. Is he a guy you can maybe lean on as a player, as a leader, to help kind of steer the group through a time like this?
Well, I caught Mikey and Gabby at the end of practice, and you throw Joel Edmondson in there too. If Drew's out for any length of time, those three become even more important, and they're clearly important on the ice. Drew is a very vocal leader, and so that slack would have to be picked up. Between the three of them, their experience, that would be the group of three I think that we would lean on from a backing perspective.
I hate to look ahead too much, but when you talk about opportunities for somebody, you mentioned a couple of those left-handed defensemen. Is there any hesitation to put a lefty on their offside, or is that something you still prefer to look towards the right-handers?
It's not preferable, and there are some players over the history of the game that excelled there, maybe played better or preferred that, but it really isn't preferable for most players. And just the way everything lines up. You're taking rim pucks in the offensive blue line, somebody gives you a pass, and if you've got to go here first and then here, how quickly people close on you, it's hard enough getting it on your forehand, getting in your head up. Same thing in the neutral zone, the pass comes over and you're kind of stuck going up the wall versus being able to see cross ice. So there's some things that limit you offensively, and then defensively, how you pivot. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But players do it, and we have players, Hicks, I think Jonesy's played on the left side before, Hicks has played a little, Gabby's played a little bit on the right side. We've got guys that have done it. It's just not up.
Back to Brant Clark, I mean, you mentioned his maturity level. Is there something you've seen? Is there a little bit more you can give us of what maybe indicates that he has that extra level of maturity this year?
No, I don't. Well, just off ice, I think just generally. We've all been around kids, we've all been kids ourselves. It's just a time in your life that you just maybe relax a little bit more. You don't get too far ahead of yourself. You just settle in and then just trust the process. So I think that's where he is. From a mental perspective. On the ice, I think he's taken less risk. He wants to make the team and be an important player. And so we know his offensive gifts. You have to be able to play defense in the NHL first to be in the league, and then you get to use your offensive gifts. And I think that's what we've seen from him. He's just been, as good as we've had thus far in exhibition defensively. So I show a lot of respect for him.
What did you think about Kyle Burrows playing with Mikey a little bit last night after Drew went down?
I thought he did a good job. Yeah. We had that full season last year in San Jose. I've known him for a long time. He was in the Islanders organization when I was there. He played with a lot of the Islanders in the minors. And those guys, when we traded for him, were texting me, telling me, like, this guy's unbelievable. You're going to love him. What a great character player. And so, that goes a long way. Showing on the ice. I think he played 25 minutes last night or something. Yeah. Played a good game.
Does the injury mask, the team played pretty well last night, and just we're talking about Drew for 15 minutes, but overall, did you like the performance last night of the team?
We really liked the first period. I thought the first period was really good, for obvious reasons. Then, there was a lot of penalties and the flow of the game got disrupted. Drew going out, may have had an effect. We didn't play as well the second half. Second period, actually. Third period was okay again. Second period, we turned the puck over. Maybe thought it was going to be a little bit too easy. It's exhibition. But the points of the game that we were dialed in, we did some things really well.
Thanks, Jim.